The object of this tutorial will be to take this JPEG from iStock, which has a solid white background, and it has a nice drop shadow and some reflection effects in the photo, and we want to be able to preserve these drop shadows and be able to substitute a background of our own choosing. And the first step in doing that will be to duplicate the background layer. So we're going to do that. Doesn't matter what we call it. And we're going to delete the original background layer. The next step in our tutorial will be to create a new layer which we'd like to use in place of our white background. So in this example, we're just going to choose a pattern, and let's pick something simple, a little grayscale pattern. And once that layer is there, we can move it underneath the layer with the photograph. The next step is going to be to add another layer, and in this case we just need to create a layer that's a solid color, and we're going to pick a nice dark gray here. This layer is going to be used to create our new shadow, and you want to make sure that this layer is in front of the background layer. Our next step is going to be to open up the Channels tab, and we're going to need to select either the red, the green, or the blue channel. So we're going to click on the red, have a look. Let's look at the green, let's look at the blue. And if I look at the red channel, you can see how much nicer and darker the shadow looks on that channel than, for example, on the blue. So I'm going to just use the red channel, and then I'm going to click on the Load as Selection button. Okay. Now I can go back to the Layers tab. Okay. And before we do anything else, let's take that selection and we're going to invert it. Okay. And the middle layer, that new shadow layer that we created, when we create it, it automatically puts a mask in there for us, and we're just going to delete that mask. And instead we're going to click on the mask button here, and it's going to automatically create a mask with our selection there. Okay. And you can't see what it's doing right now because it's covered up by our photo layer. So let's hide that layer, and you can see we have what looks like a black and white version of our photo superimposed on top of the new background layer. The last part of the tutorial will be to eliminate the original background from the photo by masking it out, and we also want to mask out the original drop shadow from the photo, and we'll be keeping only the objects that we want to appear over top of our new background. So we've got the quick selection tool. We'll use that to select only the areas that we want to appear in the final image. So we'll just do this quickly for our example. You can take more time with this step in order to refine your result, and we'll quickly refine the edge of our selection. We can expand and contract just to make sure that we're eliminating all of the original background, and we can use our feathering as well just to soften up that edge a little bit. So we'll just use that for now, and once we have that selected, we can use the Add Layer Mask button with the top layer selected, and there's our mask. So now we've masked out that background. We can see the new drop shadow that we've added and also the new background that we've added. And now we have some flexibility in that we can go into this new shadow layer. We can make the shadow darker, or we can make the shadow lighter. And if we want, we can even add some color to our shadow. So you can see here we have a blue-violet tinge to our shadow as well. And also, we could even choose a different background altogether. For example, let's try adding a gradient. And we still have the drop shadow, which now blends with our new gradient. Or we can put an entirely new photograph as a layer underneath our drop shadow layer.